Occasionally, I get comments asking me which is the best distro. In today's video, I'm going to try and explain the different distributions of Linux because there's a huge library of distros available in Linux. And honestly, if you are a beginner, it's quite easy to get lost among all these operating systems. But that's not just the point of this video. So it doesn't matter whether you're just a beginner or looking for a distro which would make your decade-old laptop run snappy, this video has all the answers. Okay, if you're not a beginner, then you can just skip to the next section of the video because there are timestamps. Or you can watch it. It will be interesting, trust me. Okay, I'm going to show you 4 different images. This, and this. All of these images are from one single distribution. That is the very popular and well-known Ubuntu. But what's different here is the desktop environment. Let me explain. So at the core, we have the Linux kernel, right? Which is used by a variety of distros. Let's take Debian for example, which is one such distro or operating system. Some brands work on that and create their own distros with modification, like Ubuntu or LMDE, that is the Linux Mint Debian edition. The original Linux Mint is a work on Ubuntu, and similarly you can create something with your own modifications from Linux Mint or Ubuntu or even Debian. Each of these distros are available with different flavors, that is the desktop environment. If you get the server version of the Ubuntu OS, there's no graphical user interface installed, so you just get access to the command line. The desktop environments are responsible for the GUI part, so there's GNOME, KDE Plasma, Cinnamon, XFC and more. It's like the same internals of the car provided by Linux kernel engine and Ubuntu modifications, along with the interior or exterior designs which you can choose accordingly, aka the desktop environments. I think selecting the desktop environment is much more important than selecting a distro because the user experience varies vastly among them. It's basically how you interact with the operating system, and that is something you are going to do daily after you install a distro. Okay, if customization isn't your primary concern and you're not looking for a fresh start, your best option would be to choose a desktop environment which closely resembles the previous operating system you were using. For Windows users, KDE Plasma, Cinnamon, XFC are the best choices. XFC is the most performant and lightweight among all these, making it ideal for older systems. But how old of a system are we talking about? I had a Dell Vostro 3550, powered by a second generation Intel i3 processor, which was launched back in 2011. I used to daily drive it during COVID-19. Despite its age and having a traditional hard drive, the XFC desktop made it surprisingly responsive, almost as if it had an SSD. It was my first laptop. I really miss it now, although it still powers on, but the display no longer works. No, not even the HDMI output. And it was not just XFC I tested back then. There was GNOME, KDE, LXQt, LXDE and more. All of them worked great on my laptop, but XFC was the only one which provided reliable performance in the long term. Cinnamon is another great choice here, and it's worth mentioning Linux Mint. As the Mint team is the creator and maintainer of the Cinnamon desktop, I see a bright future for this desktop environment, especially with the recent developments with GTK4. The Mint team has decided to move away from simply repackaging GNOME apps inside Cinnamon and would now actively maintain their own set of applications. This shift actually highlights their commitment to consistency within the desktop environment, which is crucial for a solid professional experience. And the best part is they just don't want to make Cinnamon apps, but Linux apps. They also reached out to other desktop environments who are facing the same problem with GTK4 and GTK3 theming inconsistencies like XFCE, so that they can find out a solution together. Okay, next, if you are coming from Mac, the closest option on Linux is actually GNOME. GNOME actually has a dash which is kind of similar to a dock, what you get on Mac, but you can also install the dash to dock extension in order to get the same dock-like experience which you get on Mac. On Ubuntu, this isn't required because there's a dock provided out of the box. For a deeper comparison between Mac and Linux, go and check this video out. Trust me, it's a fascinating watch. Okay, another option for Mac users is Cosmic Desktop, which resembles macOS closely in both appearance as well as functionality. Even the shortcuts are similar, like pressing Ctrl+Q, that is akin to Command+Q on macOS. However, I won't recommend you to switch to Pop! OS Cosmic just yet, as the first alpha of the Pop! OS Cosmic came out just a few days back. While it's impressively stable as an alpha, but daily driving an alpha build isn't really recommended. There are a lot of missing features, and the product has to still go through beta and then pre-release, after which it gets into production when you can finally use use it. Okay, now you have chosen a desktop environment, it's time to select a distro. If you're a beginner, just go for Ubuntu. Why? Because it's the most popular Linux distro available online, and there's a wealth of documentation, communities, and everything which is available. So whenever you run into any problem, chances are there that problem has already been asked and solved, explained in details by someone. So you will find plenty of resources to guide you. Ubuntu also offers two different versions to cater to different needs. There's a long-term support release, that is the LTS release, which is supported for 5 years. And then we have the interim release, which is supported for around 9 months. This flexibility allows you to choose a version which best suits your stability. Although it's recommended to use the LTS version and not the interim releases because, as the name suggests, they aren't for permanent long-term use. But there are certain problems in Ubuntu, starting with snap packages. Most of the apps now in Ubuntu are shipped as snap packages. While many of the problems related to snaps are resolved currently, but many users still don't like it. Next is support for Flatpak. While you can install Flatpak separately, but it doesn't come installed out of the box. So you need to do a bit of work for getting Flatpaks on your system, but even after you install, the Flatpaks are not shown in the Ubuntu App Store because the snap packaging format is like a direct competitor of Flatpak, and Ubuntu, being the creator of snaps, prefers snaps over Flatpaks. So yeah, if you like Flatpaks, it will be a bit difficult. Next is Flutter apps and problems related to theming. So Ubuntu started including Flutter apps in their distro. Like if you see the Ubuntu software, it is now actually a Flutter app. So it respects the system theme. If you stick to Yaru, it's great. It blends in very well. But if you want to use custom themes, it just looks out of place because it does not follow the applied GTK theme. Now all of these confuses me a lot because I created Evolve, which is a Flutter app, and it's a GTK theme manager, but it actually respects the applied GTK theme. So if I, being a single developer, can do it, why not the entire canonical team? Okay, let's head over to the next distro. You can go for Debian if you want to prioritize stability over everything. But one big downside of Debian is, well, since they prioritize stability over literally everything, most of their packages are very old. Okay, next up is my favorite distribution, and that is Fedora. One of its standout qualities is the pure, unaltered experience it provides in terms of desktop environment. Especially when you install the GNOME version of Fedora Workstation, you will notice that they leave everything untouched except for probably the wallpaper, and it has that complete neat vanilla GNOME experience. But that's not the only reason to use Fedora. Another compelling factor would be their commitment to provide the latest desktop experiences. I've seen every release of Fedora is neatly timed just after the latest release of GNOME Desktop. So with every Fedora release, you get the latest version of GNOME Desktop. As someone who used to daily drive Fedora previously, I was consistently impressed by how quick the adoption was. This was crucial for me because as the developer of Evolve, which is a GTK theme manager, it was important to stay up to date with the latest release of GNOME. So Fedora's prompt updates made it indispensable for my work. Unfortunately, I had to switch to Ubuntu because of some problems with Flutter development on Fedora, and I don't really have the time to figure it out, so I thought, why not just switch? But my appreciation for Fedora still remains, and it's just stable enough for daily use and has all the latest features. Okay, next we have Deep in Linux. It's a beautiful operating system and has the look and feel of macOS. Recently, I watched the promo video of Deep in 23, and they are even trying to catch up with AI race with intelligent global search, intelligent reply, UOS AI, which is a desktop assistant, so you can ask for solutions to problems you face and you get answers. And then there's AI retouching inbuilt in the image viewer. You can colorize, upgrade resolution, remove background, and more. Now, AI has become a very controversial topic, so if you're okay with it, then you can definitely go for it. Also, I want to mention that since it is a Chinese Linux distribution, many complain or many suggest that it may be backed by the CCP, often terming it as a spyware. Now, it is an open source project as stated in the official website, so use your discretion here. Next is ZorinOS, which is a great choice, and that's partly also because how they have designed their website. You don't have to think much about the desktop environment and their look because there's everything for everyone. They have a Zorin Lite version, which they claim to bring life even in devices which are up to 15 years old. There's Zorin and then Zorin Pro, which has these multiple options for desktop layouts available. Yes, a paid advantage. Many suggest that if it is Linux and you need to pay, then it is a scam. I don't really think so, because without funding, an open source project will just die. So it's important. But it's true that these layouts can be created for free. There are a ton of customization videos online and you can just see or go through them to transform the look of your desktop environment. I have a lot of them in my channel. You can go and check them out. Okay, so that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Do like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.